Welcome back to the podcast you always needed, the only show on the internet that empowers men from a place of balance and common sense. I'm your host, Sean Heshmapur, also known as Sheshan on the internet. I'm the proud owner of Sheshan's Life Coaching and the Divine Alchemy Brotherhood. I'm a true seeker, a coach, a guide, and a mentor. And man, I am so glad to be back here for you today. I know I haven't made an episode in a while. I got some good news though. I finally found someone who has been helping me with some of my health struggles that I've mentioned to you before on previous episodes. And it really looks like there's a permanent change coming my way, guys. And I just feel so good about it. You know, my digestive health has been improving. My energy levels have been finally improving. We're working with some supplements such as phosphatidylcholine. Oh, that's definitely a hard one for me to say. Phosphatidylcholine, some magnesium, and different variants of B vitamins. And man, the past couple of months, I've been really focusing on the supplement protocol, resting, being in tune with my body, doing a lot of inner work as well to just let go of a lot of things that have no longer been serving me, and really stepping into some new, calm, but also ambitious energy going into 2026. You know, I know 2026 has been going on for about a couple of months now, but I also followed the energetic new year as well, which started about a week or two ago. So another cool thing that I've been doing while I've been away from the podcast is I have built out a self-paced program. We got a few guys who have already signed up for them. Along with all the guys in the group coaching program, they also have access to the courses as well. And they are courses on mastering your reality through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And then also I added another course in there all about using the Master Your Reality course into reprogramming your mind with new thoughts for self-confidence and intentional reality creation. So the Master Your Reality course, which by the way, you can get the Master Your Reality course for free if you just check out the free resources in the links in the show notes. But the school community that I created with the self-paced courses not only includes Master Your Reality, which is about the foundational principles of awareness, of being aware of your own thought patterns that rise up and starting to shift to new thought patterns. There's also now part 2 to that course, which is called Self-Mastery, which I go into a lot more of creating new thoughts and reprogramming the mind to start strengthening the new reality you're creating internally. And later on, I'm going to be building out some courses as well in the self-mastery section that will also include learning more about yourself, learning about your values, and practically applying that in your day-to-day life. There's be pretty exciting stuff going on in the school program for the Divine Alchemy Brotherhood. And also, I added another bonus course in there as well. There's another one on building your first online business. This one covers everything from offer creation, marketing, prospecting, sales, and it also implements the inner work material that you learn from Master Your Reality and the Self-Mastery course. So it combines the inner work with the practical application, which both are required when it comes to running your own business and your own personal brand online, so you can create a product or a service that you want to bring into the world. You can turn your calling into something that you can finally monetize. And a lot of the guys who are currently in the Brotherhood program right now have been using these courses and have been building their own business and their personal brand as well, along with students who are using this work for dating, learning about themselves, healing, their social circle. It's a very, very interesting mix of guys that we have in the program, and I absolutely love working with all of them. So yeah, it pairs up really nice with the subconscious work that I do, the business course, the dating stuff. So I'll be uploading some new stuff on relationships as well. I've been very busy on my end. I've been working a lot to continue to build up the self-paced program along with the coaching program for the guys too. So major upgrades and lots of content is coming out in the program this year. So if you want to hop on it now, and if you want to join the Divine Alchemy Brotherhood, but you're not really so ready for group coaching yet or ready to join the VIP mastermind yet, the package for the self-paced courses is only $33 per month. And look, I promise you guys that price is going to be going up later this year, because $33 a month for all those courses. Plus, you can even ask me questions in the discussion board and I get back to you through text the same day. That's a lot of value for $33 a month, plus all the new courses that are going to be uploaded this year. So if you want to get locked in for that price of $33 a month, click the link in the show note description. Would love to see you in the community, brother. So again, if you're curious about it, go ahead, click the link, get started on your self-confidence journey today. So yeah, I've been busy, but it's all been good things while away from the podcast, building new things for the business, working on my health. I had to take a little bit of a break from my own social circle and dating life because of that. But now that I'm feeling healthy and just energetic again and back on normal routine with everything, I've been putting myself back out there again. It's been a good time. So honestly, again, I'm very excited to have all this launched, and I'm excited for you to be able to learn from everything that I've learned as well. Like this, the coaching program, the podcast, the YouTube channel, my social media, these are all extensions of my life's work, what I've worked on within myself and what lessons I've learned throughout this game of life. And it's really all about, at the end of the day, taking back your power and intentionally creating the life that you desire to have. So with that being said, I want to just dive right into the episode topic for today, because this is going to be a little bit of a lengthier episode. I have a lot to talk about here. I got a lot to say when it comes to this topic. So yeah, let's get right into it. This is something that I've personally had to work with through my own journey. Along with that, I also see this theme popping up a ton in 2026 for so many people who are ready to take action on their dating lives, or they just want to get back out there, be social again, expand their social circle. The theme of this episode today does have to do with putting yourself back out there. I see this pattern in a lot of new students over the years, over my 4.5 years of coaching. I see this, in fact, a lot with other coaches, content creators, and podcasters in the self-help space talk about this topic as well. And it's something I've just observed in the collective energy of our Western society right now. I work with people for a living, so it's kind of hard not to observe other people's behavior when I'm out and about doing my thing, talking to people at the gym, talking to people when I'm out at bars, restaurants, cafes, walking around, doing my thing. And I've been seeing this, again, like in a lot of interviews in the podcasting space and a lot of conversations on social media about how hard it feels to date new people and make new friends nowadays. So if you're also consuming a lot of self-improvement content right now, you've probably been hearing this topic come up as well. Or you probably have some firsthand experience with how difficult it may feel for you to date, to find your tribe, or just having the fucking motivation to go out there and meet new people again. I get it. A lot of people out there are blaming it on technology, social media, dating apps, AI. Some people, unfortunately, blame it on the opposite gender. It's all men's fault. It's all women's fault, right? You got the red pill nonsense saying it's all women's fault nowadays. You got the feminist nonsense saying men don't know how to be men anymore. They're all toxic. So I want to tackle this issue from the fucking core today, because this episode is a perspective that I have not seen too many podcasters and coaches publicly talk about on their social media. And I'm going to get into why in a little bit later. I'm going to get into why that is, because I know for a fact that I can't be the only one in the self-help space with common sense here, but I do have unique angles of things, and I study myself and others very deeply. Everything that we're going to talk about today is all based off of what I've noticed in my 4.5 years of coaching, studying the subconscious mind, being a guide of the subconscious mind for myself and my students. And look, I like to consider myself pretty damn aware. Like, I'm very deeply aware of energy. It's almost scary sometimes how good I am at reading people's minds. Like, I have to turn it off in social scenarios sometimes because I think people do get kind of offended by it. I'm very in touch that are usually a little bit ahead of mainstream discussions. I've been this way since I was probably about 22 years old, streaming on Twitch. I just wasn't aware of it back then, but I knew it. I knew something. And I've spent a lot of my time just observing what goes on in the world. I mean, it's a part of my work. It's a part of what I do. So This episode today is not going to be your typical dating advice. And it's not going to be typical tips and tricks to expand your social network and to get her to like you or to be cool, to get people wanting to come your way. This is just going to be an honest, heartfelt conversation that you need to hear. And it's really going to dive into the core issue that I'm seeing that's negatively impacting your social confidence. And because it's negatively impacting your social confidence, it is impacting the social confidence of those around you too, because we're all one, right? We're all in this together. We're all of our ideas that we project into the world affects one another. So what I want to talk to you about today is literally a mind virus, one that is very contagious. And what I want to do is help you get an understanding of why your social confidence is struggling right now due to this subconscious mind virus going on in the world, and what you can do to start tackling it, to start working with it, to start moving it through you, to start overcoming it and become someone new. But before we even get into that, you got to first understand the core issue. So let's talk about that first. So what is this subconscious mind virus? I've seen this, again, I know I said this earlier, but I've seen this with almost every single student I've worked with since 2021 when I launched my coaching business. Specifically, those who came to me in need of help to put themselves back out there, to either make friends, go on dates, or even expand their professional network. And you know what? I even see it with my business clients too. Going out there and making sales, prospecting, becoming that guy who is sociable, who is approachable, even in the social media space. And what is this? What is this subconscious mind virus going around? The core virus, the core issue, the core energy that a lot of you right now are facing and dealing with that's creating this social anxiety and a lack of social confidence is guarding your heart more than ever. These guards exist as a protection mechanism from past pain. And you know what doesn't help? The fact that a lot of advice circling around the internet nowadays is feeding more into that. Disguised as self-help, disguised as personal development. It's all giving you advice to put up more walls and more barriers around your heart. And of course, dating and making new friends is going to feel a lot fucking harder because of that. Because you're being told by influencers constantly to watch out for a huge long list of fucking red flags. You're being shown criticism of other people's relationships on social media. Like how many influencers pop off with their new relationship on social media, immediately gets criticized. Immediately goes around, people have something to just say about the relationship. Oh, it's not masculine enough. It's not feminine enough. Oh, she's going to cheat. He's going to cheat. You're seeing videos of street interviewers going up to men and women outside of nightclubs in Scottsdale, Vegas, Miami, asking them LA, asking them questions about relationships and getting answers that create more rage bait content on the internet so you can continuously be exposed to the bad side of human behavior constantly. This content is all being designed on purpose to go viral because it feeds into your own subconscious programming. It feeds into your own triggers. It feeds into your own hate. It feeds into your own judgment, which continue to reinforce the story that people are not fucking safe. And it creates more guards, more walls, more arguments on social media. And these are coming from self-help gurus too, other dating coaches. It fucking disgusts me seeing it from the outside. And I'm going to get more into my personal story later so you'll understand why I know so deeply about this. But somewhere in your life, you either probably got bullied, betrayed by a friend, cheated on by a woman you once loved, or just ended a nasty relationship of some sort, whether it be a friendship, a romantic relationship, a bad business partnership, whatever that could be. And it hurt your self-confidence. It created a narrative that just being myself is simply not good enough. And from there, it created walls. You started creating stories that people are not trustworthy. Women are not trustworthy. People are out for themselves nowadays. And now, when you try to date, when you try to go out and socialize, you become like this robot, especially in the red pill space. You see it. Men are becoming fucking robots in the red pill space more than ever. And they start scanning ahead of time when they first meet someone so they can scan for any judgments and analyze them as much as they can so they can find an excuse, not get closer to them, so they can feel relaxed and be safe once the other person sets these perfect set of behaviors so they could be like, oh, okay, that's a good person. But you know what? That's never going to happen because everyone's fucking flawed. Everyone is flawed, especially when you're hyper aware. Everyone is going to have something, and that's okay. Now, look, Is it okay to scan and vet and be aware of unhealthy behavior patterns when you're dating new women or making new friends? Absolutely. Like, of course, you shouldn't ignore your past mistakes. You should learn from the past mistakes of where you allowed other people to take advantage of you, hurt you. And also, you should be aware of the past mistakes that you made, of where you allowed yourself to be toxic, to be controlling, to be insecure, to project onto others, and to allow others to project onto you. You have to take ownership of your past pain in order to reconnect with your power. You know, maybe you allowed certain people to take advantage of you. I know I sure have. Maybe you allowed others to talk down to you. I know I sure have. Maybe you got sucked into other people's narratives of who you are. I know I sure as hell did many, many, many times in my life. Look, it's okay to take notice of someone else's character when you are just starting to put yourself back out there again. But you gotta go in with a fresh, clean start, my dude. You gotta give everybody a proper chance. Because if everyone is going out there dating, being guarded all the time, scanning for threats, looking for more confirmation bias of why people are bad, how the fuck are you going to connect with others? It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult, my dude. You have to go in giving brand new people the benefit of the doubt. You really do. See the beauty in every new woman you meet until she shows you otherwise. You see, other dudes you meet when you are out and about, you got to see them as cool. Got to see them as cool until they start displaying the toxic behavior. That is what being open while also learning from past mistakes, having a little skepticism, that is what that looks like. You got to trust yourself to give connection a proper shot again. And it's easier said than done. I get it. I want to first share with you some of my own personal stories behind this theme. I was bullied a lot growing up. From grade school all the way to high school, I was picked on a lot. I was ganged up on by other kids a lot, even in my own group, even in my own circle at the time. This was something that really made friendships and interpersonal connections with my peers never truly feel safe. It never truly allowed me to relax in social settings a lot. And by the time college came around, I started finding more of my rhythm that made me feel good for a little bit. Sure, I was drinking and doing drugs half the time, but it was a little bit more safe than what I felt in high school. And then I got falsely accused of a crime that destroyed my reputation in my hometown and at the college I was going to. I was canceled all over Facebook by age 20. And this was before cancel culture was even a fucking thing yet. I mean, this was 2014. It was like almost like starting to pop off. You know, I was canceled by people who knew me since I was very, very young. Canceled by people who met me in college, who were like friends or acquaintances that I had good relationships with. This forced me into isolation for a very long time. Then, towards the early half of my mid-20s, I got cheated on by the first woman I ever loved. She cheated on me with a man who brutally beat the shit out of her. I mean, it was definitely a huge tank in my own self-worth, and I had many seasons in my life where my mind went completely fucking red pill. I mean, I shit you not, completely red pill. I hate to admit it, but I understand where it comes from, though, so I'm kind of glad that I went through it. Because if I judge other people who are on the red pill right now, I'm not going to be able to show them more of the light that I've experienced. But I was in that red pill mindset for a little bit, believing that women only love bad boys. They only love guys that are abusive, guys that don't care, guys that are assholes, and that showing any bit of niceness or kindness always gets that person will always get treated like shit. And of course, because my mind was in that red pill belief at the time, knowing what I know now about the laws of the universe, I was attracting more and more judgmental women, women with masculine guards, women with that wounded boss babe energy, women who hated men. And the friendships with other people that I would make in the process, because I hadn't fully resolved some of my trauma from high school, they would turn into toxic friendships at times. Not everybody, though. But there was still a decent amount that I would get projected onto a lot. I would get pushed around a lot, and I would still continue to people please. And somewhere along the way, through my adventures, through all the different relationships that I made, between meeting women, going on dates, getting cheated on, making new friends, separating from old friends, separating from certain women, I changed. Not externally, but internally. I started scanning more than ever. I started becoming more guarded. I started to turn off my emotions around other people. I started to give less of a shit what other people were even saying during conversations while they were talking to me. And not in a way that was healthy. I'm not talking about detaching my worthiness from other people's projections. I'm talking about just being guarded and burnt the fuck out from interacting with others. I would meet someone new, and instead of being curious about them, my brain would go, is she safe? Are they cool? Is she going to judge me? Is this going to end badly if I continue to know her? Is this guy going to be a pain in my ass if I continue to make friends with him? Both platonically and with women, I go on dates, and a lot of times I would just think to myself, what the fuck is this woman even talking about? I don't care what she has to say. Like, it's really fucked up looking back at it, but that's what was going on in my mind half the time. And it's not because I was some narcissistic jerk, but because I genuinely was just so done with people at the time, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And this bled into my desire of wanting to make new friends. It bled into my desire of wanting to meet new women at one point. I would cut conversations short with strangers who wanted to chat with me at the gym, or when I was buying something at a register of a gas station or a grocery store, or just out and about. Even if it was a cute girl, I was just like, fuck, whatever, man. Whatever. I was super selective of who I'd have conversations with, even in my own business too. I got burnt out from wanting to make new friends because I was just so focused on the immaturities going around in society and on social media, rather than looking to see the best in others and the good qualities of other people that I run into. And here's the thing most men refuse to admit to themselves, including myself when I was in this season of my life. When you get hurt enough times, you stop feeling excited about meeting new people. Plain and simple. You start feeling tired when you're around them. And it's not introversion at that point. I know there's a whole thing about being introverted. You get tired when you're around other people. That is valid, but I'm not talking about introversion. I'm talking about armor disguised as being an introvert. And you know what that looks like? That looks like just checking out. And then you use your goals, your career, your physique, all your ambitions as an excuse to not be social. But then you crave brotherhood. You start to crave friendships. You start to crave an expansive network and a beautiful woman on your side. Like, all guys, as men, we crave that shit. Just putting my feet up right now. Sorry about that. Good old Uncle Sheshin telling you guys some stories here, teaching you some life lessons. And a lot of my own guards honestly had to get exposed. I have absolutely no clue how I was able to run part of my business. This stuff really got exposed to me during the first half of me running my business. I have absolutely no clue how I was able to run my business full time, take care of myself while my identity was breaking down, all while having some health issues as well. Like, holy shit. Like, I was in the peak of my health issues halfway through my business. I've been at it for 4.5 years. About 2 years in is when the health stuff started happening. But when I look back at the social aspect of my life and the dating aspect of my life and all the people I've experienced, all the people who've came in and out, all the different characters, I was a lot more guarded than I would have liked to admit back then. But each week, each month, each year, I chip away at those layers. And it took me to really sitting here in the woods of New England since I've been back to really observe and make sense over a lot of things over the last 3 to 4 years of my life, and connecting it with social media and connecting it with my students, because that's how I like to make sense of things, so I can become wiser and so I can teach more things from a unique angle. So anyways, I was going a little bit off track there, but I share this all to share with you that I've been through these layers. I've swung between pendulums in my life, from complete people pleaser to completely guarded and closed off, and probably coming off as a complete douchebag or an asshole, or trying too hard to be overly dominant so I could compensate for my own insecurities, for my own pain. And look, during my last 4.5 years of being a coach, I've seen a lot of men and women too, because I used to coach women and I still do occasionally. I've seen them all lean to each side of the pendulum. Some of them on the people pleaser, nice, validation seeking side of the pendulum, and some of them as the angry, guarded, trying too hard to be overly dominant, look at me, I'm the shit energy. And there is one core theme that everything comes back to, regardless of which way you swing. And that is a fear of being hurt by others again. And that is truly why I believe the dating space and the social media space and the self-development world right now Has so many people saying that finding your person, finding your significant other, dating, making new friends, finding my tribe is harder than it's ever been before. And so many people blame it on social media, but it's not social media's fault. All social media has done is just amplify the current behaviors that were already going on in our society collectively, and it's made them stronger. But it is not what has created the issue. The issue already lied in our collective consciousness, and now it's just rising up. Social media is just one of the tools that has made this energy rise up so our communities and our society can face at a global scale. But in order to tackle this problem on a global scale, just like I did individually in my own personal life, we have to start understanding ourselves. Because as the saying goes, it takes a village. I could talk about this shit all day on a podcast. I can tell other people to do it all day. But that's not what this is about. I mean, yes, I am telling you what to do, and I'm going to give you some solutions on this episode, but it's also about that I've been through it myself, and I've done the work myself to change. And that's exactly what you got to do as well. It takes a village. It takes each and every one of us to do the work to understand. After experiencing some sort of betrayal, humiliation, bullying, dominance, or any sort of mistreatment, your brain and your nervous system adapts. It creates programs in your mind and body to protect yourself from those situations to ever happen again. So what do these protection mechanisms look like? I'll give some examples. I stated some earlier. Scanning for tone shifts, analyzing text messages, over-interpreting facial expressions, assuming that people are secretly judging you, which, by the way, it's not them that are secretly judging you. It's you judging yourself through them. And you know what? Sometimes they are judging you too. Look, everyone's going to judge you at some point, including your best friends. It just is what it is. And guess what? You secretly judge all of them as well. There's at least one thing that every person in your life that's still close to you that I'm sure you judge them for. You got to learn not to be so hypersensitive to this. You got to learn that everyone's mind is on their own individual journey. But these protection mechanisms get disguised by stories that your ego intellectualizes as okay. So you can feel safe in using these protection mechanisms. So then you believe your trauma responses when it comes to meeting new people are actually you being quote unquote realistic, but in reality, you're not being realistic. You're just being guarded. And again, like I said earlier, some walls are obviously legitimate. Certain behavior patterns should have a no tolerance policy for what you allow in based on what you've learned from your past. But when you overdo it, it is now a trauma response. When you overdo it, you're actually hindering your growth. You're not expanding because you're in hyperprotection mode, which blocks you from good, genuine connections from coming in as well. You can have the highest walls in the world, and it's going to protect you from bad, but it's also going to protect you from good. And when you are stuck and always evaluating, always scanning others, your mind will always create reasons to push new people away. And then you become less motivated to want to make new friends. You don't even want to approach women anymore. You don't even want to connect with the women that you feel attracted to. And then if you go on dates, you're evaluating, you're scanning, you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt. You're not trusting the actual attraction that you have for them in the first place, and you don't flirt, you don't joke around, you don't touch them. And you really want to start becoming aware of the patterns that you have. Because in reality, if you're longing for dates, if you're longing for feminine interaction, if you're longing for social connection, the answer is quite simple. You just leave your house, you sign up for some group events, you go to the local pub, a cafe, the mall, coffee shop, you approach women when they're out and about, you compliment strangers, and you just have open energy when you're out of your house. The advice really is simple, and you hear it all the time from so many other coaches in this space who specialize in dating or social circle. But when you have these protection mechanisms, your mind and your nervous system are going to steer you away from doing those simple things. And it's going to make it much more difficult for you to go out and meet people. So once you become aware of these behavior patterns, and once you realize you display them, then it just comes to the next part. You got to extract those internal lessons. So first, you got to be aware of what patterns that I just talked about right there that you're displaying, that you're doing. And then you got to figure out what's going on underneath those patterns. And this can feel like the hardest part if you are new to self-awareness and unlocking new belief systems that your subconscious mind still holds on to. But once you get a hang of it, it gets quite simple. It becomes a habit of its own. It just becomes a new internal skill that you start embodying over time. And here's the simplest, and most practical way that I can describe someone who may not be familiar with this work to start doing. Besides just start meditating, start journaling, start therapy, work with a mentor like myself who can assist you. Besides just telling you these things, which you should do, I definitely recommend it, but I want you to actually create deeper awareness while you're doing it. Besides just giving you surface level advice of just meditation and journaling. So here's a practical thought process you can have in your meditations, in your journal, or just even in your day-to-day life. You got to first become aware of the pattern, like we already talked about. The patterns the examples I gave you. If you're closed off, if you're shy, if you're hesitant, if you're numb, if you're not speaking your truth, if your conversations are too bland or too logical. Maybe you used to be someone who would tell a lot of jokes and now you don't anymore. Maybe you used to resist, maybe you still resist signing up for a brewery meetup event or a book club event on the Eventbrite or Meetup app. Maybe you use your financial situation as an excuse to not go outside and you stay in. Because going outside is free. I mean, yeah, you got to pay for gas, but other than that, it really doesn't have to be expensive. So whatever behavior patterns you follow through on, just be aware of how you're holding back. And then once you're aware of how you're holding back, start identifying the feeling in your body that you can associate with those moments. If you have to right now, close your eyes and revisit those moments. What feelings rise up within you? Is it shame? Is it nervousness? Is it dread, judgment, anger? Whatever it may be, just notice them and feel them without judgment. Your emotions are nothing you need to be afraid of, my dude, my brother. They're simply tools for you to learn more about who you are. So after you identify that emotion and you start feeling it, I want you to start getting to the habit of asking yourself this one question when you are feeling something that feels new, that feels heavy. And I use this every single time when I work with my internal discomforts today. I ask myself, what is this showing me about me? What am I learning about myself right now? And I start to trust the first thought that comes to mind. I just remain still and I trust what wants to rise out of me. Because if you push down that first thought that comes to mind, you're still being dishonest with yourself. You're not receiving the lesson that's trying to come through. You're avoiding your own inner wisdom that is trying to connect with you. When you can trust that first thought, you can now work with it. You can become curious in it. You can seek deeper wisdom from it. It's honestly very similar to what a lot of people would call having a conversation with God or their higher selves or their spirit guides, depending on what form of spirituality or religion that you practice. And this is not woo-woo mystical advice. This is science. And how do I know it's science? Because there's plenty of studies that prove that your mind and nervous system knows what it needs to share with you. Your traumas live in your body. Your body holds on to all the information from what you have experienced throughout your childhood, your teenage years, and your adult life. Your mind and body are not separated. They are interconnected as one. And the more you treat this like truth, even though mainstream science and most doctors nowadays covered by your health insurance will disregard this fucking information because they're corrupt and outdated and just want to put fucking pills on you, you got to understand that your mind and body are not separate. They're interconnected. And there's lots of science that proves it. It just may not be mainstream yet. It just may not be recognized by our system yet. But that is the truth. You need to start looking at everything holistically and more interconnected. And I want you to explore what comes up when you ask yourself that question. What is this teaching me about me? So you can use it as an opportunity to learn more about who you are. And I don't want you to beat yourself up if a certain flawed thought comes up. That's not going to help you, my man. Back in the late 2020s, early 2021, when I first started learning this shit, my journal entries were so fucked up. I wrote some pretty terrible shit on in there, and I'm not going to repeat them in this podcast episode. As much as I want to be like as uncensored as possible, I'm not trying to freak you out. But I laugh because I'm honestly so proud of how brutally honest I was with myself back then and how brutally honest I am with myself now when I face my own demons. And I got a fucked up mind. Because that is the only way you're truly going to let go of these negative thought patterns, man. We live in a society nowadays that's so sensitive to uncomfortable truths about ourselves and about others. We spend our entire life trying to manage our way around facing certain feelings with ourselves and others. And it hasn't created any progress yet. Otherwise, the woke movement that started back in 2015 would have created massive, amazing, positive mainstream mental health movements, or whatever you want to call it, right? Mainstream mental health would have just actually done a lot better for our society, but it solved nothing. Mental health has gotten worse because all it was all about was managing symptoms and pushing down core issues that society needs healing from. And nothing got better. This is why people love the dark, edgy, fucked up comedians, because they are comfortable enough with themselves to talk about the darkness of humanity. The darkness of humanity is no different than the darkness that exists within yourself. And the moment you can learn to be cool with these parts of yourself and even gamify it in your life, you start training your mind that every brutal, uncomfortable truth and feeling and story behind that feeling about yourself is literally more love and freedom waiting for you on the other side. You're literally earning more energy. You're earning more cleaner energy. You're earning more consciousness. You're earning more confidence. You're earning more love, man. So what do you do once you start facing these uncomfortable thoughts and you become more curious about them? So great, you feel the feeling, you identify it. You ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? You start becoming curious in those stories. You move back and link to these stories to past events, past traumas. You start connecting things. You start making sense of things. You get to now have the space for your mind to create new ones. For example, if you feel triggered when you're on a date and a woman gives you a cold or judgmental look, which will happen if you're actively dating, that's going to be normal. Just because you're doing this work on yourself doesn't mean that everyone that you meet is going to be a perfect little angel. But if you notice that and that triggers you in the moment, you've now explored why. You know, maybe when someone gives you a judgmental look, it triggers a lack of worthiness in you, or it makes you feel unaccepted or not able to belong with in society with others. Now you have awareness on it, and you can create new narratives that serve you. You can start creating new beliefs that aren't necessarily right or wrong, but just more useful into the man that you're stepping into, the man that you're becoming. You can create a new thought, for example, such as, I accept myself for who I am and that's what matters. And you stick with that. And you practice that thought daily till it becomes a subconscious pattern. If you need to create new thought patterns about other people even, in this case, women who come off as judgmental or cold, those thoughts can be, maybe she's just nervous. Maybe she's going through a bad breakup. Maybe she had a rough upbringing. Maybe her dad was mean to her. You can create thoughts that are now more empathetic towards yourself and empathetic towards others. And you practice these thoughts over and over and over again until it becomes a part of who you are. Now the beliefs come automatically, just like your old belief did. But now it's the healthy one. It comes more automatically. The more you can become grounded and solidified in a new internal reality that's useful for you, the more safe you feel in connecting with others. You know, now that's more on an individual level. I'm speaking to you. I mean, I'm still speaking to you, but you know what I'm saying. When it comes down to a cultural level, a more larger scale, I'm taking a look at society here, on why it may feel harder than ever for so many others to date, to make new friends, to connect with others. I see so many people looking at this issue from the effect and not the root cause. Again, they blame social media. They blame dating apps. They blame fucking COVID. I hear COVID all the time. COVID this, COVID that. COVID really made people super anxious. And I disagree with that statement completely. I disagree with that. That might trigger some of you. I understand. But the isolation itself from the pandemic that happened 6 years ago was not the cause of a lot of these issues. The isolation from the pandemic simply exposed what was already lying within yourself and the rest of society. I'm going to sit up straight. I think I'm getting too comfy in my chair here. When I was looking up this topic before getting this episode set up, before creating some talking notes for this show, I looked up a lot of what other creators were also saying about reopening your heart center, about judging people less, about letting down your guards. And I noticed something very, very interesting. Almost all of the episodes, not all of them, but almost all of them on this topic was the exact fucking opposite. It was red flags you should look out for, toxic traits that you should start walking away from, why you shouldn't give people the benefit of the doubt, how to protect yourself from narcissists, narcissistic behavior to look out for when meeting new people. Oh my God. And listen, boundaries matter. Boundaries absolutely fucking matter, man. But we're living in a deeply hurt society right now. The pendulum is now swinging the other way a bit too far. And a lot of it is being delivered as self-improvement content. The whole self-improvement and mental health space when it comes to relationships right now have been heavily focused on giving you more structured advice and labels to keep your guards up. I don't think they're all doing it intentionally. I think some of them are, the ones that are hurt, definitely. But I think that's just where the mainstream industry is just so heavily focused on right now. And it creates good content because a lot of people who are still coming out of that click on those videos. They get a lot of views. But the downside of that, that's unhealthy, is that everyone's now protecting themselves. Everyone is scanning and analyzing new people in their life now. Men are getting advice on red flags to look out for in women and new techniques to come off as more clever, more of a bad boy, less interested, what behavior to never tolerate, scanning women for their past, right? The body count fucking conversation, judging women because of their age, calling the older ones ran through. And women are getting advice to scan out negative behavior more than ever. And it's being overdone. Eventually, someone's going to have to get off their ass and say, fuck it. I'm done. I'm just going to show up with an open mind and be myself. And we'll hope for the best. Someone's just going to have to take leadership on that. And that person's got to be you. If you're listening to this episode now, and you now have the tools. This is now in your level of awareness if you're listening to this show. And yes, just showing up, saying fuck it, and hoping for the best is the self-improvement advice I'm giving you. Not everything in the self-improvement community has to be this fake illusion as if you have control. You have zero control. And that's what a lot of these guards and scanning for red flags and judgmental behavior is coming from. It's a false sense of control. So you can dictate the outcome, even if the outcome doesn't work out in your favor. Just show up as you are with a positive attitude, an open mind, and evaluate afterwards when you get back home from that date. Evaluate afterwards after that social meetup. Connections, social skills, relationships, these are all very abstract concepts. And there really is no true, universal, objective truth on how to relate to others, regardless of what any expert says to you, regardless of what any fucking psychiatrist or psychologist or relationship expert says to you. Society constantly fucking changes. And if you're always looking for advice to optimize every interaction to protect you from potential harm, rejection, misalignment, you're never really going to get the results that you want from any connection. The quality of your business will go downhill. If you're a business owner and you got to do a lot of sales, deal with people, network, your vibe is just going to dull out. And look, the boundaries will protect you from danger, but boundaries also protect you from love, connection, collaboration, and a lot of good trying to come your way. Openness connects you. And if all you ever do is tighten your boundaries, you might feel safe, but you're also going to feel alone. You're going to feel unfulfilled. You're just going to dread the process of meeting new people. And that's the trade that most men and women are unconsciously making right now. And I titled this episode, How to Rebuild Your Social Confidence After Betrayal. And this episode has probably not been what you're expecting. Maybe you were expecting a bunch of tips and tricks or advice or strategies. And that's a good thing that this episode may not be what you were expecting it to be from taking a look at the title. Because as a confidence coach, my job is to help you become relaxed into who you are, not teach you more about how to disconnect with others, not teach you how to put up a mask and try to be someone else, So much advice in the social confidence space is about stripping you away even further from who you are as a man. It's about conditioning you to be like some other dude. And I'm not that type of guy that blindly agrees with that shit, especially since I've been through these issues myself. And I'm so aware of what has worked for me. And I understand the depth and the layers that go into it behind it. And what helped me was not creating a new list of rules that I scan for in others. It was never about coming off more dominant or masculine or louder or acting like I'm the fucking shit. In fact, it was through doing this internal work that I was able to express my own raw masculine nature on dates and in social groups. Now, I had this one client when I was living out in Arizona. I've had many clients who have been through this, but this one in particular really stood out to me because he was a bit older and he had very strong guards up. He was definitely scanning people. He was very hyper aware when people looked at him the wrong way. And it was negatively impacting the relationships he would go on, or excuse me, the relationships that he had, the dates he would go on. He was attracting a lot of guarded, masculine, judgmental women that were just acting like they don't give a fuck. We worked out a lot of these issues from like his childhood, the people-pleasing patterns, the expectations he had on others and himself, the stories that he thought other people were thinking about him. We went through a lot of this work together. And then I remember one weekend, he went out to F1 in Las Vegas. This was like the first year that the Sphere was built. And he sent me this fucking text. It just gave me such a smile. I have to read it to you guys. He said, "I got to share this with you, sir. I literally had the best time of my entire life. I scored paddock VIP tickets, met the hottest Asian girl. We hung out all day and night and just had more confidence than a lion ruling the pack. It was incredible." I mean, guys, we were able to work through so much of this deep inner stories that were protecting him from being able to connect with women and make new friends, that he was able to go to F1 by himself, go to the Sphere in fucking Vegas. And you guys know Vegas. Vegas is super, super materialistic and surface level, which was like the exact opposite of who this guy is. And he went out there and he scored tickets from just using his own charm to the VIP section, and he was able to bring a girl along with him and have a great time the entire day, the entire event. So look, this work is possible. Stop complaining that women are guarded. Stop complaining that people are selfish. Stop complaining that dating is broken. It's the apps, it's this, it's that. Learn to become an emotionally regulated man, especially in every room that you step into. And you're not going to be perfect at it at first. It's going to take practice. But you want to be the one who's grounded, aware, open, but not naive about his openness. The world does not need more armored men, but it needs men who can hold their power and their warmth at the same time. A strong spine, an open heart, man, that's rare, but it's attractive too. And look, if this is something that you're done navigating with alone, you don't have to. You know, the Divine Alchemy Brotherhood, this is exactly what we work on because every entrepreneur that I've worked with has needed this for his business. And everyone who's been trying to make new friends, create deeper intimacy with their current social circle, become more comfortable with themselves around women, to go on dates, to have fun, this is needed for all of it. And it's not just mindset only. It's not just dating tactics. This is inner calibration. This is social momentum. It's internal mastery. It's self-mastery. It's emotional mastery. And it's real brotherhood that you're surrounded by while doing this work. And now, like I said in the beginning of the show, we have self-paced courses. So if you're not ready for coaching yet, all good. Join the community for $33 a month. You can get started on the courses and you get to ask me questions in the school discussion board. So if this episode resonated with you, check out the show notes. Start becoming curious of joining the brotherhood. Take a look at the link. Click on it. Read up more about it because you don't have to build this new version of you alone. And I'm going to end the episode now for you on this note. Your walls once protected you, but they do not need to run your life. Open wisely, not recklessly. Trust the lesson. Drop the armor. And I'll see you all on the next episode. Much love.